Actually, your mother just interrogated me, which was very fun.
I'm sure she's asking everybody. I mean, Ghostface is back.
The press still isn't saying Ghostface.
My mom was the one that caused a panic.
They'll get out by the second or third killing.
The meta king of horror satire has returned, with its take on the current state of the genre. We now live in a world where Scream has become as big, if not bigger, than the movies it was referencing in the first place. A fact that has not gone past new franchise helmers radio silence, who are well aware of everything Scream and seem like true fans of horror, trying their best to honor the director of the original 4 films, Wes Craven. When Scream 5 was first announced, my first thought was one of trepidation. Without Wes Craven, how would another sequel be anything but a pale imitation of a horror franchise I once held very dear? I am happy to say that the franchise is in very safe hands, as Scream 5 feels like a true tribute to Wes Craven. Although this film has slightly over half the budget of Scream 4, Scream 5 is a major improvement technically. The camera work, lighting, cinematography are all top-notch, with a lot of it having a lot of the same aesthetic as Wes Craven's work in the 1990s, with a modern twist. Taking the Stab movies, the meta franchise within a franchise, and putting it at the forefront for the first time since Scream 3, but from a different perspective, was a great take on the meta world of requels, as they are so eloquently called by Mindy Meeks. The meta humor is top-notch, having more than a few laugh-out-loud moments, which is true to the roots of the franchise. One scene in particular pokes fun at how easily audiences are manipulated by music and jump scares in a great tongue-in-cheek way, while also making it one of the tensest scenes in the entire franchise. The kills in this movie are some of the most violent and vicious of the franchise, not in an over-the-top way, but more in a visceral sense. Most of them are very quick and very simple, yet are so bloody and terrifying in ways that only a true horror lover could really fashion. All of this shows that radio silence were really the only ones right to make the next chapter of Scream. When it comes to the cast of the sequels, I find this the most likable group of side characters overall since the original. 2 and 4 had a mostly forgettable new roster, with 1 or 2 standouts. 5, on the other hand, had 5 new characters that I found entertaining and more interesting to watch, even in repeat viewings after you know whodunit. While some may say the new cast is one note, I'd argue they're about as layered as the original characters were. While I agree with a cast as big as this, that some characters don't get the added screen time and backstory I would like, additional viewings did add a bit more layers, which is true to the roots of the franchise. Melissa Barrera and Jenna Ortega are the heart of this film, as well as the leads for the most part. Their performances are strong, and their relationship is one of the best parts of the movie. Mason Gooding and Jasmine Savoy Brown are great as the twins and are way more entertaining than the typical jock and nerd stereotypes that they portray. Dylan Minnette is the horror vet of the new crop, and his Wes Hicks being the overly prepared mama's boy of Scream 4's Judy Hicks is a great fit. Jack Quaid's Richie is the doofy comic relief, who is also the audience surrogate for a lot of the film. He's not too far off from his character on The Boys, but strangely, he feels right at home in this world. Scream 5 is the movie most fans thought they were getting with Scream 4, which may be positive or negative based on your opinion of the 2011 fourth film. As a fan of 4, I really enjoyed seeing the other end of the coin, while also bringing in elements to cement the fact that it is a requel. Unlike 4, the original 3 are not the main characters in any way, but instead are the wily older veterans now who serve more as mentors than anything else, an inclusion that I thoroughly enjoyed. That doesn't mean they aren't involved or just show up on a TV in the background or something. Each one gets a standout scene or moment that stacks up with some of their best. David Arquette gets the most out of the 3 because his character is the most entwined with the story and gives possibly my favorite version of Dewey in the series. One of the biggest complaints that I've heard is that this film is too meta for its own good, when in actuality Scream wrote the 4-time best-selling book on meta and horror. This is a film that uses fan service as a manipulative tool that could only be done by the Scream franchise. Nothing that is done for this film is new, and in fact, the story is completely built on the building blocks set up throughout the series, making each film an important part of this movie. The use of meta misdirection and playing into Hollywood's current love of 90s nostalgia and fan service may make this the peak of requel cinema and may have the same effect on the genre the original had on slashers in the late 90s. The third act captures the atmosphere and tension of the original, while adding a few more twists and turns to help it stand out from the pack. While the villain's motivations did leave a bit to be desired, it's actually brilliant how fitting it is for the franchise, and I have really warmed up to it over time. All in all, Scream 5 is a great addition to the franchise and makes me excited for the future of something I assumed was long dead. I'll give Scream 4 out of 5 stars. This was Ryan from Let Me Be Critic, guys. Thanks for watching another review. I'll have my top 10 of the year, both best and worst, out with my next video. I'll even have a return on my Why It Failed series coming out in the next month or so. Again, this was Ryan from Let Me Be Critic. See you next time.